Thank you. How's everyone doing today? All right, that's good. So as I introduced, my name is Troy Galvin. I'm the manager of our PCL Agile group here in Toronto. We focus in on offsite construction, DFMA, design for manufacturing and assembly, and we're really bringing together, like we said earlier, the industrial world with our buildings world together. I'm sure you know a lot about PCL, but just a quick overview. We are located across North America. All those dots you see on the map are our district offices across Canada and the US, a little blip in Australia as well. We are a big machine, a big GC, which makes this story, I find, more meaningful because you see a big GC that has pivoted, that has looked to turn to more offsite use in our buildings world, and we're committed to that movement. It's a change and it's an uphill journey, but it's pretty exciting when you get the fruits of the labor. So what I want to do today a bit is show you some of the value creation that we got out of our actual projects we've built here and deployed in Toronto, some of the challenges as well, and hopefully some discussion after this as the night carries on. So that being said, the market sectors we perform in North America are our heavy industrial area, primarily Western Canada, Alberta, oil and gas and energy, buildings world, heavily in Toronto and Ottawa, and our civil infrastructure side, which is spread more or less around south in the US. What I love to say again is we're smashing industrial and buildings together. It's that systematic, process-driven mentality that we have in the industrial side. Let's be clear, it's not that sexy when you look at an industrial project, but we bring that way of thinking into our buildings. Whether it's a full volumetric module, whether it's a decoupled element, there's various ways to skin the cat and not one solution fits all. But with that way of thinking, that a bit of standardization, once we figure out our customizing, we can bridge those two worlds. So in Toronto, we have a facility here. It's about 65,000 square feet. We've been in it for 3 years. It's been a 7-year journey in Toronto. Again, design, we're heavily involved in design, we manufacture, we manage a supply chain. So we have become a bit more vertically integrated, not like Katerra vertically integrated, but we are vertically integrated amongst PCL. Why did we invest in these efforts? And I think the first bullet here is the most important to mention, would be address the skilled trades gap from a quality and a quantity perspective. I think the metric is something like 200,000 or 220,000 workers are needed in Canada the next 3 years. That's a really big gap. And we're not saying that offsite or modular construction is going to solve the problem. It's going to be it's a tool in the toolbox to help us bridge that gap. We see better passing of tacit knowledge. So let's say the boomers closer to retiring, as we have a challenge getting the younger generation into the trades, we have the ability to bring the experience, that tacit knowledge, into a controlled environment because we've elongated careers. It's more ergonomic in a controlled environment. People are outside the elements in a controlled environment. So we're able to transfer that knowledge much better. We compress our schedules. Fundamentally, we build in parallel. As we're doing our traditional site stuff, digging a hole, getting our services going, we are manufacturing the building or parts of the building off-site. So fundamentally, we're building in parallel. That's shaving off time for our clients and our end users. Improving productivities, we're doing that through enhancing it with automation, through a bit more standardization, work cell approach, activity, the skill set to the worker, matching that every step of the way along your workflow. Technology, better adopted in a controlled environment. And that comes in many different forms of automation. We're early in our automation journey, to be honest, but we see our future being in the CNCs, the digital roll formers, CAD to fab, we love to coin, and we're working it as we standardize our product line. And building upon our depth of modular experience. Out west in industrial, we've been building modules since the late 70s. That's really where we started this program, industrial-based, and we want to bring that way of thinking into the commercial world. So real quickly, I'm going to touch on some of the softwares because it's very technical focused group here today. So we use these tools, Revit, Inventor, AutoCAD, Sketchbook, Lumion, and we've recently implemented our 3D scanning tech and augmented reality. I'm not the one that's going to speak to all these softwares, but I have a gentleman in the room named Jamie Gonzalez, so if you have a chance, maybe share some thoughts with him, maybe different tools that you're using, debate them a little bit, because there's a lot of different tools out there. How do we make them all compatible? I'll take a bit of a stop on the augmented reality layer to give you one user case that we really see that's beneficial. So if we're building an element in our shop and we have it all modeled in the digital environment, we're able to strap on that lens to the site condition. I think we all know as-built aren't always what they are. So we can see in our digital model overlaid into the real world. We are physically on the fly reworking that dimension if we have a clash, if something's not fitting properly. We can tell that before we do anything in the shop. We're really pumped about getting further into augmented reality. We believe it's a bit of a game changer for a modular program into in situ conditions. A bit about our workflow. Workflow is everything to us, every step of the way. It can begin with a sketch. These sketches used to be done on napkins. At least now we can put them in the digital environment and not lose the napkin. Once we have that napkin sketch done digitally, we can then create a 2D model. We do that in Inventor. That's a tool we use. We explode that model then. We try to break it. And as we break that model, all the parts and pieces fall out of it, and we generate a bill of material. That bill of material takes us on to the next stage of our cycle. And here's just a rendering using Lumion to show you a wall panel assembly that we've built up. We use this to educate the owner on what they're going to get, how they're going to get it. Flipping it over to the parametric, once you have your parameters set, we can work through multiple iterations of what that wall panel composition needs to be. And then physically, okay, we did it digitally, let's build it physically, and then we get the buy-in we need to do something perhaps a little bit differently. Some projects now. So these are projects we've built in the Toronto market out of our shop at Agile and shipped around the GTA. So this one here went to Pearson Airport, fairly significant structure. It was our biggest module we built to date. An access egress walkway, I believe was 85 feet long and almost 100,000 pounds. So if we think about logistical concerns of working at an airport on the live side, I'll just share with you, we had a 4-hour window to do that install each evening. If we don't get it right, we have to demob and remob the next day. And it's not like we're demobbing 20 feet away, we're demobbing across the airport with a security escort to a quarantine zone. So in some cases, the offsite, the modular method makes nothing but sense. It is, again, the walkway. Cool fact I want to add, when that left the shop, it was 190 feet from tip to tail of truck, from front to the back. So a lot of people ask, how big can we ship? As long as we have the right route surveys and everything in play, we can ship some pretty significant things through this infrastructure here in the GTA as well. Some metrics, and these are compared to our way that we traditionally build, compared to our budgets, to our baseline schedules. And this is, I believe this is understated, 20% more cost effective and 50% faster. A lot of people ask, is it cheaper? I'll say a lot of times we're cost neutral. We can be more expensive taking this approach depending on the parameters at site, but it'll always be faster. And time is something that we put a lot of value on, and so do our clients, especially in the affordable housing challenges that we're having. A lot of these behaviors, this way of building applies in parallel to that world as well. I'm going to switch over to MACKENZIE Vaughan Hospital. If you had a chance, we're building that right now next to Canada's Wonderland. What you see on the left side is a Revit model. That's a blown up model of all the elements that we took off site. So washroom pods, plenums, the lungs to the hospital, the intake and the exhaust, and some other decoupled elements, hand wash, eye wash stations. We used a hybrid approach with Revit and Inventor to create the model, off the model to create our parts drawings for our pods, and the standardization effort landed us 290 washroom pods. Key thing I want to share here is it was a bit of a pain point, was it wasn't a moment zero item. This is not what we started in plan when we built MACKENZIE Vaughan Hospital. We didn't have defined we were going to take washroom pods and plenums off site. We decided later in the design phase. So imagine how challenging that is to flip and then get everyone to flip with you. That's not the most exciting time. So in this case here, we started at level 4. We left 1, 2, and 3 go, and we started at 4 to get to the washroom pods. We actually had at first 130 different variations of pod, and through the VE and standardization, we got down to 8 with mirror images, and that's what got us the 290. So just key point, moment zero, make it part of the plan. It's going to be easier on all stakeholders involved. Here's a video. There's no audio to it, so I'll kind of talk over. This is the flooring system that we put in place. In a hospital, we got to get a 2% slope down to the drain. So we did that in concrete, fiber reinforced concrete with our CNCs to make sure we get the 2% slope. That was 12 millimeters thick at the drain. You're seeing the workers in the shop here. That's the rate they move, which is just awesome. That goes against our 500,000 hours out of lost time, so I shouldn't say that. You'll notice in the middle aisle there we have a rolling assembly line. That's actually the roof to the pods. Fully fit out, multi-trade. We put IoT devices in each pod, in every 5th pod, and that detected temperature, humidity, and vibration, and we're sampling that data every 5 minutes. and incorporating it now into our quality program. You're seeing us lift these pods onto the footprint of the building using elevated platform. We got to think about the whole cycle and design that element of it in. And you'll see it took 2 to 3 workers to pull that off, 2 to get it to its resting place. It went quick there, but that floor plate was incredibly clean. There was really nothing on that plate other than that 50 mil recess that we're dropping our pod in. So think about the decongestion of site, the workforce removed from site, the materials removed from site. We can focus on different critical activities by building in parallel truly. Town of Oakville, a library that we put in place, open to the public about 3 months ago. Pretty cool library, had the chance to walk through it. It's 5,000 square feet, not the biggest building, 7 modules to build that 5,000 square feet. And we actually fabricated the canopy structure and the deck in our shop too out of 2 modules, so 9 modules total. The client in this case, the ask was, and it was moment zero, the ask was, okay, we need facilities quick. We need to be able to relocate those facilities as well, but they can't feel temporary because they had a nasty impression of what modular was in the past. So we can help rethink that through the digital environment, model it out, get it all thought out. So we were quickly able to deploy that library, 2.5 months in the shop, and I believe it was 25 days, 25 days to erect it on site. The feedback we got, because it was outside 60-mile Sportsplex, anyone's from Oakville, is we didn't know what you guys were doing, you did some work at site, you disappeared for X number of months, and all of a sudden we had a library. That's the kind of feedback we like. Minimize the disruption at site. Just some renderings here. Some of the tools we used to show the owner what they were going to get, how they were going to get it, showing the module stacking. The images on the right are actually finished photos of the library itself, skylights and all, and the finished product. So very close to exactly what we wanted to produce with a happy owner. Here's a time lapse. This is our shop here. So again, the rate of work, it's time lapse. That's the structural floor there we're doing on our jig system. And in the other jig system to the left, that's the roof. You're going to see us volumize that roof, obviously inserting columns to create the volume. Once we have the volume done, which will be done shortly here, we're going to move that into our next bay and populate that like any other way we're going to populate what we build. We're just doing it in a controlled environment. We're doing it faster, to a higher degree of quality, and we're doing it safer. We're also doing it with less impact on the environment. Lean Construction Institute says, I think it's 50 to 55% on a traditional way that we build. This is hard for a GC to say this, is wasted energy. The 8 deadly wastes, I'll forget them, but overproducing, underutilized talent if the work front's not available. There's 8 deadly forms. We find in our environment we get 5 to 10% waste in all those forms. So it's a very significant change, and what a responsible way to build by adopting manufacturing principles. At this time, if you look close, you'll see our washroom pods in the far bay. You'll see plenums in the middle bay. We are also building wall panels, a library. So at any given time, we can have 4 to 5 different jobs running through our plant environment, which is pretty cool. Managing capacity can be a challenge. It does ebb and flow. Here's a project that we're just getting set up right now for. So 700 university modular stair. The ask from the client here is, hey, we have to densify our building. So to densify our building, they need better means of access egress. So we can quickly deploy the 18-story stairwell structure in the shop with minimizing the impact at site. The conversation is now about adding a couple other stories to it right now, and then we procure steel and get into building mode and deliver that with minimal impact to site. Pretty pumped about this project for sure. So just in summary, I want to leave some time for Q&A. Hopefully we get into a bit of discussion after this. Again, key layers why we invest in this so heavily over time is bridge the skilled trades gap. It's very real. Enhance the knowledge transfer. We're seeing the gains of that right now. There's nothing more rewarding than flipping someone that says, I've done this for 30 years, I've done this for 40 years. Well, hold on, come into the shop, we can come to a better way. And then you flip that individual. It's a very powerful moment. And the ripple effect that to others is beautiful, to be honest. We compress our schedules, we talked about running things in parallel, enhancing productivities through automation, de-risking our jobs from an exposure hour perspective on the HSE front. Stuff we're doing on the leading edge of the building, we're now bringing to ground level and erecting that up as one unit. It might need more crane time, that's fine, let's design with that in mind. We're minimizing the impact at site, making it more safe to a higher degree of quality. Better adopting new technologies, controlled environment, we can do this. We focus in on the scopes that we're working on. We can do all types of digital transformation in this world. I find there's tons of parallels in the affordable housing. We're not building homes ourselves at PCL. We're building res towers, yes, but I believe all these principles absolutely apply over to the challenges we're living day to day. And we're seeing this momentum pick up. We're seeing CCAN homes. We're seeing wall panels be built and put onto the skin of a building that are going to get that existing building to net zero because it's not energy efficient in the first place. So the movement's happening, and we're seeing this as a tool in the toolbox to help with these challenges. The next steps for us as PCL in this market here are better use of parametric design tools. We're kind of in our infancy there, and we know we're going to get there as we build up our database of assemblies and then put those parameters in, run your iterations, get your output. We want to link that to our pricing models as well, so we can make fast decisions for our owners as well, inform them quicker. Further automation to support the skilled trades. I don't believe automation is going to replace the trades. This is just my opinion. I believe automation is going to support the trades. That 200,000 person gap that we have, it's not going to go away. This is going to help bridge it. I don't believe we're ever going to catch up in that sense. Maybe in 50 years, but who has a crystal ball when you look out that far? I know I don't. I would invest further if I did.